We are live. Hello, everyone. I am Richard Millett, the one and only. This is the quarantine stream. It's the 28th one. Now we will hear the lovely, beautiful, ever wonderful, evergreen quarantine stream theme.
Life is but a dream in the quarantine stream.
Beautiful, isn't it? Thing of beauty. Some people can't understand the thing of beauty. They don't understand it when they see it. You're probably not like that, though, right? I didn't write this. These are great words written by a great man several decades ago. And I hope I can do it justice. I am skin and bones, and I am pointy nose, but it motherfucking makes me try. It makes me try, and that ain't wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because there ain't no right. There ain't no wrong now, ain't no right. Only pleasure and pain. Motherfucking bad wind came and blew down my home, and now the green grass grows. Bad wind came and blew down my home. Goddamn goodness knows. Where green grass grows, there can't be wrong. And goodness knows, there ain't no right. Ain't no wrong now, ain't no right. Only pleasure and pain. Bumped my head. I'm a battering ram. I goddamn took the pain. I cut myself. I said, so what? Motherfucking took the pain. I said, so what? And I can't be wrong. I thought so, but there ain't no right. Ain't no wrong now, ain't no right. Only pleasure and pain. Good. You didn't believe it when you saw it. And you don't get how beautiful it is. And that's not my fucking fault. As another great man put it in a different context, Sanskrit read to a pony. Doesn't invalidate. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the Sanskrit. This is very important. About a very important person. Very, very beautiful woman. Who it's for, name is in the title. Ruth Stearns, wherever you are. You are beautiful, and I'm trying to be more like you. Even though I was only 7 years old then, you're the only person who never censored me or told me to shut up. I watched you shrink 1.5 feet from cancer and lose all your hair. But I'll never think of you as a victim or powerless. I'll always look at you as regal, graceful, and intelligent. How you guys doing out there? Any requests? This is from a book I did last year. It's called The New Nature. Now more than ever. Right? We know what we've seen. So much more water falling from the sky, making miniature lakes out of puddles, forming little rivers and gutters. New homes being built where the mudslides ran, down the hills, quenching the forest fires. So many new islands and bays for animals to gather together, standing on one foot. New games being played as new trees emerge in marshes and parks form over the landing strips. We know what we think about it. Never desecrate the body, never poison the water supply, never bathe in insecticides. See and think. Never barter for bacteria, never throw poison down the well, never desecrate the body. In a glass sink, the water can start to build its own walls and divide its own chromosomes. In a glass shower, the nozzle calcifies the water and organizes the deposits into clear lines. On a glass floor, spilled water pulls away from itself towards the corners, towards the door. On a glass ceiling, the water can reform into tiny, pointillistic droplet paintings. We know what we see and what we think. It's called May. Get it together. Get it yourself. The feelings you had linger for the months. Under the ground, garden life albatross. She bleeds all over me. I say ball and chain in simple words. Idealization, affiliation, detoxification, menstruation. Dirt in the coffin, she's bleeding on the flower stems. Up in the air, salivating tissue under the ground, dirt on the nails, bleeding again. Extend a hand in loving help, but maybe you should just kill yourself. It's called Flowers at the Foot of the Cave. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation, in a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you that I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red. And the names of everyone there exist in my head. My head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door. Dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. Quarter-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons looped like ringlets in the air, and the floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit, half childish, with freshly washed clothes strewn over the chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge, while I'm reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity, And for proof, you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true. But I trust that will get worked out by you. This is called Diamond Mine. Get off of there. Water rushing so fast it looks like knotted wood, its sound a ceaseless perpetual crash in static blue and black. Droplets burst over the plank sides and dot the dirt or land on kicked-out bricks, and from the ravine's opposite angle the water seems to glide clockwise, rolling ever nearer toward the gears and into the factory where 7 years previous the core of the industry sunk unexpectedly early, and like a defense attorney the treasurer ruled the materials used were archaic and their methods unrealistic, and as demand seized up the foreman and night shift technicians acidly joked they were laboring within the Great Repression. For ages it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured by a flood started from the diamond mine. We know. It's either tacitly implied or we're told outright. You can't be seen like that. You need lights. When money is exchanged and you're finally responsible and realistic, you can't be seen like that. You need lights. Know the value of being articulate and reconsider your obscure subject. You need to stay in the lines. You need to revise. Realize the need to eliminate images that would be unwise to present or ideas you'd be unable to defend. Why persist if honest people cannot implicitly understand? You can't be seen like that. You need lights. For years it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood that started in the diamond mine. Back in the head office, on the desk next to the gold pen set, coffee, and scissors was a black leather envelope, and that morning's newspaper whose sub-headline read, "Forget Forgetfulness," and detailed a local photographer who makes elaborate, enormous, near-twin gelatin prints of events, one real, one staged, and described the effect as painting over paintings. When asked by the reporter who will get this, the photographer remarked, "Anyone who misses being pure or ever imagined placing one point in time over another. Anyone who pictures the shape of ideas and not the shape of their mind. Anyone who sees a crowd and tries to find the people in disguise." Later, the paper lay open to the crossword puzzle, and among answers written in indeterminate script were sides like, "Does purpose follow appearance? Where is this from? Reasons better than because." And finally, determining what to become. Guys doing out there? Having fun? Any requests? I'll take requests. I want to do all your favorites, but you have to pay for requests. Sorry. Could very well be the last time I feel like ever reading this one. Maybe. We'll see. I love it, but, we'll see. This is called, and as I said before, this is a question that everyone has to answer at some point in their lives. This is called, would you sell the relics? Congratulations, assholes. You got your Pyrrhic victory. Not you watching, you're not assholes. Well, maybe you are. I don't know. Here goes. Don't say that, Rich. The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression, and when the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstance under their control. While the brigadier general worries to no one if they need a transfusion. The colonel, who's concerned that not enough people's fingerprints matches theirs, requires a warning on the front page of each report, along with a summary cut together by a subordinate in a matter of minutes, so they don't have to waste any energy generating contradictory thoughts. While the captain enters their coordinates so the location is known and updated every moment, which leaves the captain free to make discoveries like the wheel or gravity, then sell their findings to the executives or campaign staff of their choice, urged by a strong sense of benevolence, a tribute to charity as a force. And the first lieutenant's unmatched love of history is proven by the pictures taken of their parents with Goebbels in Brazil in the 70s. And the second lieutenant's jealousy shows and grouses to no one in particular. That's not Goebbels, it's clear it's Martin Bormann. And all the other Nazis on the run. They weren't being wicked guys, it was their idea of fun. The sergeant major that reset the esprit de corps doesn't know the panic they'll feel a few short years later when they are urged out of the way, or that they'll become stiff with resentment and resolute in their calls for punishment and institute measures to monitor how the company behaves, while the staff sergeant writes on a photo of themselves, "The future belongs to you," and daydreams about collecting the remaining virginities from the sorority house down the road. And they already have the names, ages, and weights in a frequently updated database. Then the staff sergeant complains about commercials before content, or probably having to wear a mask. The chief warrant officer who breaks ranks to research the order the alphabet was created in gets rueful about seeing themselves age and attending charity events, funerals, and hospital visits, seeing their face in the mirror more washed out than before, wondering as they write their commencement address, who will even be paying attention in the audience? Drinking from puddles, seeing what the sky says, not being able to read handwriting. And to the private, it's all an eye roll, and all so boring and shallow, to see another round of legacies shut out by an offhand remark. The private doesn't ask any of the officers where they should start. What's the matter where rebellion is kitsch and trauma is Walmart? The specialist greets the private. They each think the other is a dilettante. And later, the specialist considers, what's the matter where you have 1,000 followers and not a dozen supporters? Would you sell the Relics? How are we doing out there? You guys having fun? We diverged a little. Tight set list planned. Called Milky Skies. For 3 weeks, I've seen the sky as one color stretched over a muted spectrum, and I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration, with my sense of decency tested. I stared at celeste-colored veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the worm, thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends repeatedly requested questions, only furthers her hesitation. So she leaves a small note of explanation, and this is very important, so please listen. Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget chores performed with red impressions left intact from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment, and with his shoulders pinned back, adjusts his balance and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that has possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose, or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way and he falls back gently, lands on his hands while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone. I felt watched when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as it's become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs, and now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in a heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulder and squealing. And now, as fury impassively fades, any vows I made could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies, and now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies with 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written on a business card. Here she flies, gums and hair receded, a miniature brace for a baby wrapped in grayed, hardened plastic. Here she flies with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old western silently. Here she flies while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water and 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies with skin like marble over winding staircases and rooms with seafoam-colored walls and intimidating machinery. This is an important one. It's called Conspiracy of Silence. We walk by each other on the street. You don't speak. I can see you have no ambition. You can see I have no standards. I do not speak. We are equals. We are parallel. I've seen you in the water. You've seen me dream. You never eat and I never sleep. Turn your head. Bend your neck. Tiny flowers pressed to your chest. We walk by each other on the street, never met, but there's still a blink of recognition. We enter the plane. We're flying over England, viewing from behind the wings, seeing St. George's Cross spread over the aisles to the carriage of the Queen. It's a conspiracy. 35mm slow-motion shot of Bernini's St. Longinus. Who wrapped it round and hung the wires and laid at the feet of the Empire? Ever picked up that call? Ever read those books in the basement? We walk by each other on the street. We don't know each other and we don't speak. I roll my eyes and you repeat the conversation from a passing taxi. It's a conspiracy. Blue, green. We are water, etching lines and rocks, running diagonal patterns on the face of the clock, blurring the note on the windscreen, a pristine, steady stream on drops from the sky echoing to your mouth. And you need to ask, wondering like your feet are on fire and these are your first steps into the bath, a murmur, a moan, and you need to ask, ever feel the fog touch your curled hair in the everlasting afternoon? All my dreams, all my dreams, all my dreams are in blue and green. The herring was red. I sleep on a purple bed with fresh white sheets. Go through it, experience it, and tell you all about it. Live to tell the tale. It's a hell of a fucking rush. It's a conspiracy. With a wink of complicity, I can slip right in an inside improvisation. No, a pantomime. Playing at the Museum of the Mind. It's easy. It's instant. It's open if you want it, and I want in. Does it diverge from memory? It's a conspiracy. Did the blue dog climb your stairs? What kind of candy was it, and when did you take it? And it's a conspiracy? Like the lilting willow. We walk from window to window. We don't know each other. The tempered glass is salt water in our hands. And I think I need to give thanks. I think I see a lantern you're holding, out of the ground and more like the weeping wall curled into a ball and newly resolved. It damn sure ain't a pantomime. It's a mystery. It's a conspiracy. Ever swing on the gutter like a vine? Ever fly over the jungle in a silver plane and see it wet with rain? We walk by each other on the street. You've seen me, I don't know you, and we don't speak. There's an open hand above your head, but that's an optical illusion from the clouds without sound. It's your secret to keep. It's a conspiracy. And was that you on the balcony? What did he say? The painting there, did you find it confusing and think it lacks meaning? But look right to left, not centered down. It's all one scene. Do you see it now? It's a conspiracy. Yes, you heard me and made me admit your moment, your Pyrrhic victory. Can I have this dance? It's a conspiracy. We walk by each other on the street. We see each other, but we don't speak. Your fingernails are blue, your lipstick is green, and the leather on your boots is frayed at the seams. I know that in your dreams you're still 15 with a stolen cigarette you nicked from the vending machine. The lung branches are soaked and your bubble perm is fast falling. And wouldn't it be funny if your interior life from now on is just this moment, endlessly repeating, same photograph on the wall mistaken for a mirror, and you can identify and you can empathize, but you can't know what on earth. We see each other on the street. Duke Ellington, East St. Louis plays the theme. Cast iron boat, Sterling Silver Symphony. We don't know each other. You start to speak, but it's drowned out by the man with the loudspeaker and the papers proselytizing his religious belief. It's like we're curators, caretakers for something we never saw, never knew, but understand purely on instinct and instant assimilation, empathy, ecstasy, impressions of the senses. We are the examples. It is ours to not let the charted land that gives us food and water to drink, a place to walk and live, vanish in clouds, or become such a stranger that we're only hearing clashing tongues and react with a stance that turns wretched, frozen, and cavalier. We will reach and remain unlabeled, walk free in the community, fly over and under unanimity. We are the examples. We trace the dim signal. We will remain enthralled and observe the entrance and relics with rituals without. And they used to kiss her off and on her. When you talk to the clouds, can you? When you talk to yourself, father's father's mother, 7 flowers on 7 stars. On the chest of the Creator, we realize what is within and outside of us, what's invisible to the eye and eludes our touch. We understand the light inside the image obscures the image inside the light, the red and blue, the blue and green. You never sleep, and we see you dream. It's a conspiracy. A very wonderful woman once said to me, you see a chair as it is, but when you burn the chair, you see the chair in your head did not burn or disappear. Motor oil on a block of ice, river of fire where a miracle was denied. Filtered water poured carefully on top of a block of ice and seeping down the slanted floor slowly toward the recording device, from whom no secrets are hid. I'll believe this one thing even if the rest is lies, until we crystallize straight to heaven. It's a conspiracy. Of course, they're sitting in a circle, a celebration among friends, sharing your favorite passages out of a blank book, closed circle making notations on the pages with a candle wick. The chandelier hangs beautifully, laughter sparkles, and the champagne from the cellar under the cellar is free. Yes, it's a conspiracy. You walked in, I woke up. We were docked outside Oyster Bay on a mutual friend's houseboat. You arranged the table, gave a long look, and said, I'll give you good reason to take away my right to vote. Keep your fork. There's pie. We see each other on the street, eyes looking at the stoplight intently and drinking coffee that smells like crayons. The guy next to me on his iPhone reads, intimations of infidelity were a red herring. Me and the guy selling streetwise laugh at his timing. Must be a counselor, apparently, or a confidence man, or a trial lawyer playing fast and forgetful with the facts, or a city planner changing his mind with each passing glance. We're walking out of Preston, zipping up your leather jacket, and when you said you laid nude with your adversary, I asked how it happened. You accepted the invitation, met in the garden, rested your heads on the stone wall that runs the perimeter. Did you pay rapt attention when the nightingale told his fairy tale? Did you ache in the silent seconds of the confession? You see me on the street, I see what's in your hands, and our eyes do not meet. As people walk out of Walgreens, you ask, did you pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you? Do you bless those who curse you? I'll tell you this, it's a conspiracy. The morning mass was busy ignoring any message that wasn't theirs. It's a conspiracy. Was that a sneer? We know. She was standing on a corner in South London under a red umbrella on a sunny day, glass necklace and a gold waist chain. Do you have a title? Yeah, I can't tell you. Look, can I take what I need? Please. I said to her. She said to me, I'm your sister and you just don't know it. Not a martyr, a seer, not an abandoned spirit. Is this Don Giovanni? It's a conspiracy. I hailed a limousine. We walked by each other on the street. We've never met. I know what kind of fruit you eat. I have no ambition. You're trying to get my attention by throwing a flag on the feet of the gentleman delivering a block of marbled meat with a business card tucked neatly in the wrapping. 7 numbers in blue ink over the lettering. Did you count the columns around the building? 34 in a perfect circle. Ever been on the top floor, skip school one morning and take the tour? We walk by each other on the street. You're carrying a painting. We won't speak. I don't sleep. You cannot dream. You walk up to the white door and wait for access. You left a book on your desk. The cover was worn and the binding was torn, but you like the questions it asks. Razor cuts. How many songs can you sing in the sun? How long is the transmission? 7 flowers on your chest. It's not for lack of trying. It's a conspiracy. You walked in an oval. You thought over each permutation of the image's meaning. You looked through the stainless steel window and down to the streets, and then you looked at me. It's a question of genealogy? We see each other on the street. We did not speak. The question, they looked at you. You looked at me. It's a conspiracy. Good? I think we're good. All right, cool. This is called I'm Dancing with the Skeleton Key. I'm dancing with a skeleton key pinned under my belt the night after I had had 2 simultaneous dreams in ocular split screen, one where a white-tailed fawn galloped to the front door and another where my brother couldn't sleep. I'm dancing with the skeleton key tied on a twine cord around my neck. Remember when my sister was locked in a minivan and stranded in a parking lot outside of Boston? She kissed the windows and ate the tape in the cassette deck. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my unopened mouth, tucked behind my wisdom teeth and obscured by my tongue. I have memories that my sister still won't believe, and I miss the 20th century. It could have been so much better. I'm dancing with the skeleton key scotch taped to my arm. When I was in school, the vice principal gave himself a heart condition trying to figure out who had stolen from the convenience store and then boasted about it on the blackboard. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in the grotto of a dilapidated Catholic church where the priest once confessed to me that after each funeral he performed, the only way he could raise his spirits was by making uneasy music with the organist. I'm dancing with the skeleton key concealed in an alley while bells chime at midnight near the railroad and kids with no curfew dodge between dashing headlights on their way to play hide and seek in the park. I'm dancing with the skeleton key laid on the floor of a garage while my brother draws out diagrams on poster boards, connecting lines from consequences of thoughts to isolated islands of thinking, divided by unintended regressions of actions. I'm dancing with the skeleton key while I'm safe at home, looking at sealed bags of clothes that I stopped wearing years ago while I was running for mayor on an unconfirmed platform of leaking information about the governor. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in an adjacent office because the evidence my brother uncovered just got delivered to the lawyer, and he predicts it will make the judge jump and remove any condemnation from his mouth. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in a strip mall that used to be a swimming pool, and before that a man-made hill that covered demilitarized waste trucked over from a Floridian base, and it will still take 100,000 years before any of it reaches its half-life. I'm dancing with the skeleton key clasped tightly in my hand as I watch my sister in the mirror speak sentences with one word and plant orchids next to power lines in the backyard. Then she dots the driveway with empty jars to accurately measure the rainfall. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my pocket moving loosely with me. My brother used to cry bitterly to our parents every time he got a ticket, refuting each offense, denying he did any of it. I'm dancing with the skeleton key sliding uncomfortably in my shoe, but the nuisance helps give me the presence of mind to always remember what I was taught, that when the rent is due, it's better to be full and well slept than to just hand over a blank check. I'm dancing with the skeleton key pressed into a book, watching Leaves of the Wind and a novelist at a press conference performing fake sign language, hoping it will get him the attention he wants for trying to revive the printed word. This is an important one in I suppose, the grand scheme of things, if you want to call it that. This is called Slow Boat to China. The razor skin fell on the seat. The roof had been gouged out by a key. The exits were guarded, a few numbers written down, typed out in a foreign language, all the product of inflation. The casino slot machines paid out with surf music in a 20-minute ring. The plumber knocked on the last room of the far wing and was tipped with uneaten meat. I keep trying to leave, but I only get more inside. Not fucking anymore. I made it out of the garage only to be stuck behind a foreigner with $1,000 hubcaps on a $50 car. A girl climbed up the mic, and before she got numb, asked them how they could stand the climate. She was from California, never was snowed on, didn't get stopped by trains, 20 miles to 5 miles, then down to 3, ranging from dour to catatonic to irate. Can't tell a building from a train. Everyone drives through, though, except for me. I stopped the frame. I took the wrong exit, driving into the marching band display, and wrote my senator, complaining to his face, and he wrote back saying, "Yes, son, it's about time we did things your way." Everybody's an altar boy looking for a lampshade to make straight, some Sunday spending money, a free robe, a thimble out of the river, because they've got to make their case. Trees grow faster in the city, according to the study. The nutrients depleted my body. No electricity is going to open that door. Ice is slow and not enough to keep my attention. My attention. Everyone acting like an altar boy, dragging their disagreements in the street, stopped, slow and coy, using their vestments for sheets. A few quick turns and pleas for a reward, but the holding cell is empty and I choose to open it today. I paid to replace the battery and canceled my appointments. The dentist charged a late fee. The neighbor watched his lawn instead of TV. And here's the moral of the story. I put my dinner in a glass, filled it with water, drank half, and left the rest. I threw in some safety pins to see how fast they'd rust, and after 6 months, there were still no results. So true. So very true. This is a this is a longer one. I wrote. Came out at the beginning of last year. So, very fond of it. This is called The Needles, and I hope you enjoy it. The dock, 70 feet in back of me as the sun rotated into the cloudless mid-sky. I saw, "You should keep my letter so that it serves as a reminder," carved into a 16-foot-long block of pink limestone. In front of me was a sea of black hair and white fabric. A man in iguana-colored boots was a private parade. The air was damp and smelled like salty sediment. A sandpiper coughed into my ear. In prior decades, this would have been a confined testing environment stacked with medical supplies and sterilized instruments, while bleached cotton strips turned the skin around my nails lighter. Pried out of the wilderness of incestuous dreams, ripped posters, and unreliable oral histories. Deer curled up in sandy, shallow puddles, trails of red ants eating holes through discarded cabbage. Soft green eyes undress uniforms before entrance into a former Methodist church with baby blue walls and royal blue sacristy doors. Reptile eggs eaten by a small group of women who then wash their hands in citrus-saturated water and wrap their fingers with copper wire. And a monument at dusk, surrounded by silence, outlined with jagged stones and chipped jewelry. Fox hunters riding by, with a new hound who they yell at and threaten to whip as each of its tentative selections are rejected. The Lord Mayor's houses built to buttress against resistant forces, all amid a slow, swollen syrup that pools and then runs downhill to the man-made lake. Unobstructed view and pristine wings, piercing siren, as though it was a current or a call to worship. A chalice filled with tarantulas, a flagpole wavering in its stand, chickens' eyes rolling sideways as they travel at unnatural speeds for the first time. Cigarette smoke blown into a bowl of strawberries, fingerprints left in wet paint, fresh milk pumped from each breast. My friend who can foresee pregnancy and electricity through a wall has their moods move like montages in a film. My friend without terminology, whose nature is a catapult, and who can walk through a maze without a fever. My friend who finds destiny dancing on purple and pink nights with dirt around their ankles. From the upper window, I witnessed a slow splintering of demonic demonstrations. In my right hand were coins melted together. On my feet were shoes of another, as I checked the tags on my clothes to learn my identity. Through the upper window, across 7 streets into the parking lot, where disused missiles decompose, diagonal gold and gray roads sprayed clean of tar and debris. Low-flying planes obscure the upper window, where a virginity pageant marches from the shower and concludes with forearms rested on the top rung of a ladder. Breathless dizziness, reading large handmade maps, desperate for hydrogen, dull bulbs, and shovels, eyes closed for hours. All deaths are a cataclysm. Rinse the plaque from your mouth. Cut long muslin swaths and give them away. Bring out your dead! All deaths are a cataclysm. Rinse the cement. Don't try to trace ghosts. Bring out your dead! All deaths are a cataclysm, and what stands are bloody trees deciphering the wordless moans. The invisible dust falling on a table in the woods, swept away in haste. The invisible dust falling on a chain-link fence at the border, wafted away before it rusts. The invisible threads woven around nurses' legs while administering instructions to infants. The invisible threads coursing through fibrous recall. Innocence is wasted on the inexperienced. Each speck is an unnoticed city, an English symmetrical opening. Each strand is a bird on the river in a King's Indian defense. Wax seal stamps poured onto a clock while its mechanism starts surging. Go into the unpaved adjacent highways and remember. Remember for the benefit of whom? The sermon restated to sleeping citizens weary from work. Remember for the benefit of whom? A lion in a tent gnashing the last of its dinner. Remember for the benefit of whom? A slouching, passive general inept at telling a catalog from blueprints. Protective exoskeleton. Exclusive phone booth opposite the swimming pool at a home in Beverly Hills constructed in the late 40s. Watery exoskeleton. Fluttering drama as the mounted trophies change colors when passing trains sound their whistles. Sensory exoskeleton. In parks of dewy, gently curved hills, designed by anxious architects to absorb all tastes and scents. No one reaction or army of thought, no weaning or well-meaning practice can smudge or even expunge the unadorned evidence in the immeasurable elements. And now, a grasp toward a cataract of menstruation stored in a triptych of cases. Tender veils lift lightly in the breeze, briefly betraying the horse's forward focus. Confirmed miracles in the dial tones droning from underneath the unexplored aisles. A cherry, a maiden, a cup. And I lay down for now, hopeful the parcels I sent arrive on time. Gonna do an older one, and I've heard this a few times. It has a, I will yet again do this because this is how we live. This has a racial epithet. It is spoken in the voice of a character. So please bear in mind that usage of a word is not an endorsement of the word. And it seems ridiculous that one should have to point out the obvious, but these are the times that we live in. So, and the obvious escapes many. This is called I Never Run Out of Money. He got in the car just to drive away. It was 80s night on the radio, and he felt his eyelids quiver from the thoughts left in them. He always wanted to go out with one of the older kids, and he sped past her house to remind himself that the whole thing wasn't fiction. He had to chew on tablets of ephedrine just to stay awake as he careened down a one-lane town. The clock read 2:14 a.m. Name another place where you don't have to worry about the cum on your coat from the guy in back of you on the bus, or the weekend in Boys Town where you lost all your money, where you can die for the 50 stars and still get reborn, where you can vomit on someone else's tonsils and still go home with them for the night. And you know that when you got a dime bag in your lap and you could drive the service entrance to paradise, it's not a privilege, it's a birthright. He was always frustrated by the kids a few years older who looked coked up by the age of 13. The news came from Washington. He had a fantasy that he kept kissing her on the forehead. Oliver North had been acquitted and Fawn Hall wasn't to blame, like when they arrested Manuel Noriega because he wouldn't pay cash for the shipping costs of all his cocaine. He pulled into Super K for some Coca-Cola and saluted the limp American flag on the way in. Rolling Stone had Bruce Springsteen on the cover, and he felt like he had razor blades inside his stomach. Somehow everyone felt let down by the Gulf War. It wasn't as bloody as My Lai, it wasn't as funny as Grenada, and gooks weren't bombed in the process. The commodities and golden parachutes kept all the middle management well liquored up by the time Bush was giving his resignation speech. Voodoo economics and the crack epidemic sometimes made you wish that Nixon had been right all along, but this never seemed to bother him, and the national debt never meant shit to any decent citizens, especially not the kids who saw Heathers when it was still in the theaters. He got off the phone with one of his friends who complained that crack smoking was just a, quote, cheap ghetto high, unquote. The erythromycin was fucking up his liver, but at least it kept the acne off. He read a book about Charles Manson and figured the only difference between him and Nixon was a few years in jail and a copy of the White Album, but the thought of Squeaky or Sadie, dressed in their black capes, creepy crawling into someone's house, was still freaky enough to keep him sleeping out on the couch. That night he had a horrible dream. Eric Estrada was hosting a beauty pageant at the Playboy Mansion, featuring categories like worst facelift and most fucked up tit job. But he couldn't walk away from the spectacle of it all. All he could do was to slug down a bottle of Thunderbird and cradle a hard-on while slobbering, "I do believe I'm ready for the Playboy Mansion! I want to see Hef! Open up those goddamn gates!" He woke up before the former First Lady wet t-shirt contest and ran to his car in horror. He flicked on the ignition and forced in a homemade tape, and while jam on it leaked out, he thought about how much he hated those old political arguments he heard, that individuals are symptomatic of a sicker society. He came upon Super K, the great beacon for people who are lonely and sheep, and admired its neon beauty against the black backdrop sky. He was looking sideways and feeling sick about what was smothering the rest of the land. Strip mall upon strip mall, grids and rows of anonymous stores. He thought about how all this used to be a beautiful forest, and how disgusting it was that every developer was using their own lunch hooks to get a portion of the profits. He felt his stomach tighten at the thought of another obese teen selling Swatch watches and sunglasses, but then he turned his head forward, away from the strip mall, and saw nothing but outstretched lanes of tree branches and unpainted roads, and he knew that he was getting ready to finally go home. Ah, yes. Yeah? All right, this is called Canary Milk. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a well-worn, folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports about the European heatwave, instead marveling about how the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh. While Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. We're going to do two right in a row. This is, they're both from the same book. This is White Cello and Allison with the blue sea and icebergs. Take the white envelope next to your hand. Give it to me. Here, look at this. Talk to me. I'm in the open window. I'm not in time, but I've got your watch, and I need to learn to play this white cello. Scratch the surface. I'm on the shore with a can of sugar. It's never bitter. I'd really rather be playing, though, because I like the white strings and the white bow. That's not her. That's her, was the simplest thing you said today. I'm still reeling, with no moments except now. You don't possess any microscope, so I will take the telescope. I'm trying to be angelic, which isn't easy after getting desensitized with disappointments every night, eating fresh vegetables, but planning. You already know, and then you talk me out of it. You don't have a pistol in your waistcoat. Your teeth aren't flecked with flax seeds. My misjudgments are my own, and most are unknown. And just because I'm a pacifist doesn't mean I'll just let any motherfucker abuse me. And speaking of myself, notice me! I'm standing next to the tree where the guy crashed the stolen car, got out and ran for it. But I can behave for over 100 days, and I've squandered my efforts and so much goodwill that I sometimes still need to convince myself that I should try to take lessons to play at all. But I'm sure you want me to, and I know what I can do. And with that, we're not missing anything. We're humming songs through the phone. We're midnight movers. We're holy rollers without a religion. No, we're not. And don't be the guy on the bike in the right lane racing for his life against rush hour traffic in the morning. I know you are, and you know that I care, and I feel like I'm Clark Kent dressed in primary colors, and I just haven't taken off my glasses yet. She said to me, as long as it's not evil, and I said to her, I cannot be evil, certainly not right now. But it's the rising sun, it's a hard-boiled egg, it's basil, it's a blue charm. I just want to play the white cello. I just want to sit in a circle and think about it some more. So are we going to wrap this up, or are we just going to keep testing people's patience? No, I'm thinking out loud. It's warm communication going on over here. Oh, brothers, that's what I'm talking about. So just change the channel. Quarters, dimes, and nickels, and all sunbathers must be wearing a blue suit. Go to the Swanson cutoff and cut off your Swanson. It'll be like a reverse safari where they put lions, cheetahs, and tigers in a truck and drive around and show them people shopping or walking down the street or pumping gas. It'll be the apex of manifestation. It won't be in the Bible, but it'll be like the Bible. Or it'll be a suburban safari where some guy named Greg gives you a little pith helmet and plastic binoculars. And you wait under his kitchen table for the cat to use the litter box. But why does it gotta be white? Never heard from before. Advertising space available. Clean, clear water. And, as always, the tastiest tomatoes. She's ice cream, and there she's down the hall. She uses words like everything and all. I can hear her, but I can't make out her features. I know she spends her weekends in a cement cinema making notes. The girl next to her tries to see what she wrote. Allison wonders why the guy in the elevator keeps glancing at her, and why the weather keeps jumping between rain and sun every 30 minutes. She keeps saying, quit asking me questions, I'm the one that's innocent, and people assume she's joking. Allison wonders, what are the windows thinking on a day with this white line down the center of the sky? Her mind cuts back to the guy in the elevator. The quick, look at me and look at you, we're equals. Allison wonders if she can keep hiding while knowing that they're following me. Poor Allison was a real person and has no idea that this was ever written about her. Allison writes, what started as hopes are now observations, mostly about nature, and being young stops being fascinating once it's done. Allison looks down at her bowl of spinach, and her eyes focus down on the details of one leaf, and she quietly speaks. An atheist sees this and can only think of the mud it grows from. Allison writes, we extend grace out of our own sense of grace, and smiles because she's not sure if that's something of her own or something she's half remembering from 2 or 3 incarnations ago. Allison considers why her back and hands are so slippery when she's invisible, and then tells her sister, my tongue is a graffiti sponge. I wonder if I'll have to make love in front of a judge. Allison considers that she's a character who looks and acts exactly like her, then draws a bath with the lights off. Allison invites her guests to walk barefoot while cherries and red confetti float out of her phone. Allison considers emptying cash registers if the security cameras lose power. But what she mostly wants are completely natural segues with no artificial blends. So with that, Make thoughts your aim or nerve blaming when all meet with you at your beginnings, but make allowances for their worn out tools and make dreams a trap for fools after they are gone. Fucking gone now, I'll tell you that. All right, we're doing good out there. It's called 1001. I was traveling across the Missouri. I saw the flood. Let's start over. I was traveling across Missouri, and I saw the floods. The water waved like eyelids draped over the heavens. I came to the caverns and lit a fire. I lit a drawing of my own, an elephant with a broken back. A 6-year-old cracked some sticks and made a puddle of wine. In the fog hovered the pestilence, dusted with cicada wings and bats. The cockroaches had incisors and ate a meal of matchsticks. I met the mayor. We watched a lunch line kick a dog. We stole light bulbs from a factory. We wrote a novel and a play, and then we burned it all. Let me tell you about starving and lust in your mouth, because I never missed a meal and I won't start now. I've never seen that many rodents migrating south, and 10,000 blood vessels turn inside out, and 20 boats capsize, and a Chinese dragon get caught in an updraft, windshields and storefronts snapping in half. On the battlefield, none of this is real. My hands have been sliced open with leather and steel. Rivulets of blood and dirt cover my scabs and wounds. I spun on my heels, and I look around at the land. I was surrounded by dead bodies, and I had to believe that this was not part of the plan. So I threw down my gun, and I yelled at the sky, and I said, God, you bring whatever hell you want to on me, 'cause I'm not afraid to die. And the earth's rotation sped up, and I cried out, Hallelujah! And I saw squirrels and worms clinging to the dirt, almost paralyzed. And cannons started flying forward, and lightning blinded my eyes. And I saw the door on either side, but I was not terrified. I saw the path that I had to take for the rest of my life. Lightning projected onto an infinite expanse of space, every instinct played without fear of fate, an imperceptible mist keeping me awake, blue air, blue skies, blue land, radium and spring water holding reservoirs in my hands. And then I come to, with my brother standing over my face, crying because he thought I was gone, and I bolted upright, and using his shoulder, leapt to my feet, and I ran away hollering, "Will you be there, or judgment? Will there be liberty or judgment? And are you going to look for a drink in a dry riverbed? Do you want to be cleansed in dusty rocks? Try to wrangle yourself out of chains and just get encrusted in flakes of rust? That man over there don't care about what happens to you or who you pledge your duty to. Will you toil in drudgery when honor and dignity will stop you from crawling? Will you accept death's sting and impassively function like a ghost, like a legging on the Great Spirit? Or will you cast off this burden, this bondage, and find joy in better things? Death, I take the trumpet from your mouth. I walk to drown out your sound. I puncture your drum. I will not march, and I will not watch. Death, the fear overcomes me, but I shall not succumb. I will continue to laugh. You will not seize my spirit while I sleep. I will stand victorious over your sarcophagus and bury it in Stickney. I will use my will at your most evil. I will starve instead of choking on your cattle. I won't keep any secrets, and I will stand as I am. In front of the market, cars were floating away. Wind was fiercely blowing. The flags were hoisted, faces filled with roiling rage. An ambulance sped by. Deer was tied to the top. The school nurse broke through the front door, used her hands to dig into the ground, then emptied the contents of her purse out. She fled hysterically. Searchlights pierced the day. Sirens were silenced. Buzzing it mutated into stillness. Birds gathered in small circles. The trees and roads looked sore. People's chests and arms bruised. I saw a signal from a window and took a picture for proof. I counted the change in my pocket. I remembered Tony and Mima's phone number. I was a boy and they couldn't get me off the swings, and now I can fly, so I never stop. I always would wish to observe overhead, weightless, straightforward, irresponsible, endless, adroit, fast, far above, picking out the doves from the seagulls. And I wonder who will fall for fuel and travel to another coast in a nameless group and export a bullfrog to the mountains and sell paper towel from their patio and cancel the credit card to the branch vice president and kick a Honda in the grill and pluck staccato strings for their score and steal toothbrushes from CVS and spread their legs for the solution and hang naked from a tree in Ibiza and write a slogan that fits on my wrist. It's called I Got Away Alive and Sane. Because I did. And I am. I've been living like the whole FBI died in a Kool-Aid mistake. I've been keeping a time bomb in my shoe so I know that my watch is correct. I got a tiger by the tail waiting for it to end tomorrow. I've been up all night burning my bridges, making jokes about ex-friends' fetishes. I won't tell you to hold on or say you don't deserve what you get. You won't ever see me take the first step. I got a tiger by the tail waiting for it to end tomorrow. I got a floorboard in the garage. I've been overstimulated. I've been sore. I got away alive and sane. I didn't get strangled or stained. I got away alive and sane. It's called Party of Colors. Her eyes open while she pretends she can feel her fontanelle. She thought she must be post-person or her own cousin. She read the news, fear of law and God and man, an infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic loop. She was one image at a time, so she thought that she must be a person, right? She wrote some news. Platitudes aren't solutions and fill space between waves. Now I'm new. And she also knew that the feeling of being new was always something that she could circle back around to. This is Honeybee 12345. Like a coral pink butterfly heading to me, you're looking through your jeweled eyes, and I'm waiting for your surprise. A birthday card, an aquarium on the wall, a memory in a vein swimming around, arriving late to hear a favorite song. Flying, flying like a honeybee that counts the flap of its wings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. Bubbles on the honeycomb coming together in unusually warm weather. Honeybee, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. And now, on this auspicious day, we come to our conclusion. This is always, all the time. Now then, now then, now then! The present is in the future. History is present. The future is present. The present is present. History is history. We see the future pushed to the foreground wonderfully. All three, you and me. And God bless you, Diane. I hope our future is like flying birds. The weather is in the sea, gravityless moment caught and dotted with cherry trees and colored pencils. There is very little in life that matches what I feel when you smile at what I whisper back to you. We're in the room and out of nowhere, looking at the inlet together in letters and circles, like a slit in the curtain, like a fluttering bird ready to bathe, like an oxidized copper fountain. I want to be with you always, all the time, like a white shirt with a fresh grass stain, like a street light breathing air, like waving from the top of a ladder. You plan all the plans, always, all the time, like a strawberry on the counter, like fingernails washed clean, like a bee being curious of a new flower. You are adorable, always, all the time, like pickled ginger on salmon, like a workbench in the sun, like an invention imagined. We are here with each other, always, all the time, like a cat cornering a grasshopper, like a licked stamp pressed with a thumb, like a rectangle with unbroken corners. You are mine, I am yours, always, all the time. And that, folks, wraps up yet another exciting edition of the Quarantine Stream. And I'm pretty certain we will be back next week. I think I can say that without any hesitancy at all. So that's pretty wonderful to be able to say. I hope that you have enjoyed this, and hope they have a wonderful week. And as always, stay safe, stay smart, and stay free. Because you already are. Right? Right. All right. Now we will hear one more time the Quarantine Stream theme.
Life is but a dream in the quarantine stream.
Beautiful, huh? All right. With that, goodbye for now, folks.